And when the real story, Memorial Day, it's a beautiful story, right? And it was forgotten, and nobody knows about it, right? Um, and the idea of the history of Decoration Day through the white narrative was a lie, right? And every city tried to claim to be the first to do this when it really happened in Charleston, South Carolina, by black people, right? Black people were the ones to start this, right? And so what it did was it made Decoration Day not about soldiers, right? It made Decoration Day about the honor of black men who are willing to, dig up this mass grave, right, of fallen soldiers that was fought by black people, and it really demeaned our so-called oppressor, the so-called white man. It made our so-called oppressor villainous, and because of this, what it would have done if this story actually came out is that it would have divided the country even more, and this is something that they wanted to avoid. And it would also remind our so-called oppressor that we are more honorable than them. And it would also remind us about slavery if the true story of Memorial Day came out, right? And so, and here's another thing. When you think about like barbecues, right? This is something that we started, cooking outside. This is not something that our oppressor detested the idea of cooking outside. Barbecues was for the poor. You know what I'm saying? We're the ones that started that, cooking outside. And while our oppressor, he would rather be in the house with, a long dining table with slaves all around, feeding him and pouring his drinks. And that's how he decides to celebrate. When we were the ones outside, cooking outside, using the earth to cook, right? Well, let's get a scripture real quick before we do. So basically, our official stance on Memorial Day is that as they forget about as they want us to forget about, or as our oppressor forgets about the crimes that have been committed against us and forgets about our fallen soldiers, well, our stance is we're going to forget about them. We're going to forget about their wars. We're going to forget about their fallen soldiers. That's our stance, right? We're going to forget about them. You bring up what happened in Vietnam, forget about it. I don't know what you're talking about. You bring up what happens in World War I, World War II, Desert Storm, we might as well forget about them and their memorialization of their dead, because they clearly forgot. They clearly want us, and they have clearly forgotten about ours that have perished in their wars. At that, our people that have perished in this captivity, they clearly forgot about that. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, we got about 7 minutes. Let's get a scripture real quick. We're going to go to Psalms 109. Let's get that real quick. Actually, let's get Exodus 17 and 4. It says this in Exodus chapter 17, verse 4. This is the children of Israel complaining, right, to Moses, because the children of Israel wanted to go back to Egypt. They wanted to go back under the oppression of the so-called Africans, right? And when we read this, we're going to go to 17 verse 4. Salaki. Actually, let me get, let's go to, bear with me, y'all. Okay, now actually, let's go to 17 verse 14. And Joshua, this is during the campaign, the war campaign that Joshua and the Israelites went on. It says, and Joshua discomfited Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword, right? So we was banging out with the Amalekites, the so-called, which would be the so-called Jewish man today, right? We was banging out with them, and we discomforted them. We was putting it on them. Verse 14, and the Lord said unto Moses, write this for a memorial in a book, and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua, right? So now the Lord, as we put it on Amalek, the Lord wanted us to write this in a book, and he wanted Moses to rehearse it to Joshua, so Joshua can know that, number one, how the Lord is always going to be glorified in all the wars that we're in. But number two, he wanted us to memorialize this, right? And this is what he wanted us to memorialize. For I will utterly put out the remembrance of Amalek from under the sun. See, the Lord did not forget what happened to us, right? He didn't just throw us away. He didn't forget what happened to us. We should pray to the Lord that he shows us all the things that were done to us, so that we can truly hold a memorial for all our people that have died, right, under the hands of our oppressor, right? That would be a true memorial, right? And so it says this, for I will utterly put out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. So all of our oppressors, soldiers, and those that have perished in their wars, why should I care, right? When they don't want to raise no flag for us and for our people that have died, right? What did they do in Charleston, South Carolina? Them Confederate soldiers, they took all them black bodies, the black soldiers, and they put them in graves, in mass graves, and they ran out of town, right? And didn't give us a proper burial. So I'm supposed to remember Vietnam and all those that have died in Vietnam, right? See, when our oppressor, when he goes into a place, he's very dishonorable the way he moves. He goes into a village. When he went into Vietnam, he went into that village and he looted. He took all the jewelry, anything that he could spoil, he spoiled. He raped all those Vietnamese women. He pillaged because he has no honor. When we went in there, when we went into Charleston, South Carolina, we went in there with honor, right? And so our oppressor, he suppresses the truth about Memorial Day, right? Because if he doesn't do that, then you just might remember about slavery, right? And that they might remember that you were more honorable than them. And this is what the true story of Memorial Day is. It's a story of us being more honorable than them. While we gave those soldiers proper burials and we decorated their tombs and decorated their burial grounds, right? They ran like cowards and they were dishonorable and they did not give those soldiers proper burials, right? You know what I'm saying? Because when they go out and fight, right, and they go out to these wars, and they go out to Iraq, they go out to Afghanistan, they're fighting to steal oil and to steal resources. That's what they're fighting for. They're fighting in a dishonorable format, right? And that's always been their MO. Salaki. We're gonna at this point we're gonna end the class here. I was gonna get Psalms 109. Salaki. Let me just get there real quick. See if pull that up real quick. Psalms 109. Here's what it says, verse 2. For the mouth of the wicked and the mouth of the deceitful are opened against me. And this is what they've done with Memorial Day. They've lied about it, right? Because what it does is it lifts up their pride, right? It elevates them, right? They have spoken against me with a lying tongue. And that's what they've done. They would never bring out a story of how black people are the ones to start Memorial Day. They would never do some shit like that. So lucky for my language. Even considering we fought in their wars and we've helped them build a successful kingdom, they still hate us. Here's what verse 3 says. They compassed me about also with words of hatred and fought against me without cause. We fought in their war, and when we came back home, they killed us. They hung us. They murdered us. This is why we brought the race riots, right? For my love, they are my adversaries, but I give myself unto prayer. And we should pray that the Lord reveals all that has been done to us, right? That's what we should really pray for, right? Because we've loved this place. We've been patriots to this place. And what have they done? They've treated us like dirt, right? They've hated us even more. And they have rewarded me evil for good and hatred for my love. So now, as we love them more, and as we've showed them our love by fighting in their wars, right? And by being true patriots, they've hated us even more, right? And so you have the nerve to go and set up a barbecue for a day like this when you're doing it to elevate your enemy. And with that, we're going to class with the Israelite School Universal Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Tomorrow is the Brotherhood class. Tune in from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Tonight, we have the Black Watch with Commander General Yohana. I'm going to say it again. It's every Monday night, the Black Watch with Commander General Yohana at 9 p.m. You must tune in. Some powerful information is going to come out. You definitely don't want to miss it tonight. Once again, Black Watch. Go on YouTube, type in the Black Watch. Subscribe to the Black Watch. Subscribe to ISUPK.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And with that, shalom.